Om Sai Ram children, this is Paati. I have a story for you. The name of the story is The Crow and the Swan. Once upon a time, a crow lived in a tree that stood by the side of a pond. Every morning he would sit on the branch of a tree and watch a swan swimming gracefully in the pond. Whenever the crow looked at the swan, he would say to himself, "How white and shiny are the swan's feathers! I wonder what makes his body so beautiful and graceful." One day, the crow decided to go up to the swan and ask him the secret of his beauty. So off he flew towards the pond and perched on a small rock in the middle of the pond. Addressing the swan, the crow said, "You look so beautiful and white. Would you kindly tell me the secret of your good looks? How I wish to be white and beautiful like you." The swan said, "I am white and beautiful because I live in the water all the time. You can also become white if you do the same," remarked the swan. The crow was very happy to hear this. "How long shall I have to stay in the water to be white and beautiful like you?" "Well, there's no fixed time for that. You'll have to stay in the water for many days. Only then will you start looking like me." "Only a few days," said the crow. Losing no time, the crow jumped into the water. He found the water very, very cold. Not used to this watery life, he felt a wave of cold throughout his body. But he was so crazy to look like the swan, so he decided to stay in the pond. But that's not possible. Only took a few minutes, and the crow felt as if his body was going to freeze. So he tried to crawl out of the water, but his wings would not work because it was so cold. It was, in fact, with so much difficulty that he could crawl out of the pond. Soon he was shivering all over with cold, but he forced himself to remain in the water. Coming out of the water slowly, the crow looked at himself. How sad he was to see that he was still as black as ever. The swan was so amused to see the crow crawling out of the pond, so he teased him, saying, "What? Are you afraid of water? What about your craziness to be white? I never imagined that you will give up so soon." The crow had no words to say to the swan. Totally exhausted with cold and hunger, he was not able to fly up to his nest. Exhausted, he said to himself, "How unwise of me to try and be like the swan. We crows are not made for a watery life. I feel so weak and tired that I can't even fly about to hunt for food. What a pity. Anyhow, it was so silly for me to try and be what I can never be." So the lesson is, do not try to be like someone else. Be happy with who you are. That is the end. Thank you for listening and goodbye.